Good morning. Welcome to the forecast discussion for October 17th, 2012. It is currently 8:30 a.m. And as I speculated yesterday morning, temperatures did end up getting a little bit cooler than what we were forecasting for many locations throughout the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area. Over the interior, temperatures fell into the lower to mid 30s, and along the coast, many locations had lows in the mid to upper 30s, but were starting to rebound quickly into the lower 40s over the New York City metropolitan area, and already into the mid 40s, should I say, over the Philadelphia metropolitan area. I think this 47 is more due to urban heat island effect than anything else. As you can see, outside of Philadelphia, many locations are still in the upper 30s to lower 40s. For today, high pressure will be in control with clear skies for the most part, winds light and variable, and temperatures rebounding into the mid to upper 60s in many locations. Could possibly touch a 70-degree temperature to the south of the Philadelphia metropolitan area. But for the most part, we're going to be dealing with tranquil weather conditions and comfortable temperatures with humidity relatively low, producing, well, perfect weather conditions for any outdoor activity. Taking a look at the latest infrared satellite picture, you can see our Hurricane Raphael, is starting to transition into what's called an extratropical low pressure system. We know that because dry air is starting to wrap in behind the low level circulation and starting to become part of the guts and the driving force of the storm. So we're clearly seeing a transition going on this morning from a hurricane to a strong gale storm over the northern Atlantic. This is going to be a big component to our weather forecast over the next couple of days. Not directly, but indirectly. Meanwhile, high pressure is in control throughout the entire eastern seaboard, with scattered cloud cover pretty much in place to clear skies. This portion right here is part of our subtropical jet stream. It will not be impacting the northern mid-Atlantic for now, but keep an eye on all this moisture pulling over the southeast and southeast coast, as that's going to be a major component in our weather forecast as well moving forward. Meanwhile, we have an area of low pressure developing over the northern plains, and this will impact the northern mid-Atlantic as we move forward in time. However, the good news for now, at least, is that high pressure will be in control for today and for tomorrow as the high pressure system shifts to the northeast towards the Canadian Maritimes. Taking a look at the water vapor satellite picture of North America, I'm sure your eyes are drawn onto this right here, mostly because I'm pointing it out. Again, we have what's left of Hurricane Raphael lifting up into the northern Atlantic, and we also have a strong upper level low over the Canadian Maritimes. Now, these two features are going to combine and produce what's called a negative NAO pattern, specifically a west-based one. And that's important because what that's going to do is block up the pattern to the west. And that's going to force this upper level disturbance to cut off and form a powerful upper level low over the northern plains that will shift towards the Great Lakes by tomorrow evening. As it's doing so, all this moisture that's pooling over the southeast coast will start to be drawn up the coast and into the northern mid-Atlantic by Friday morning, producing widespread moderate to heavy rain. As this upper level low intensifies, the moisture transport from the Atlantic into the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area will increase, leading to rainfall amounts of 1 to 3 inches by Friday morning. The good news is that this upper level low will not remain in place for too long because we have a progressive weather pattern developing over the Pacific right now that will drive our upper level low into the Canadian Maritimes, leading to clearing skies by this weekend. But you can clearly see all the pieces coming together right now to form a very heavy rain event for the region by Friday. Let's take a look at the latest model guidance from the Penn State EWOL website. This is, of course, the European model guidance. I'm using the European model guidance because it's been the most consistent in this weather pattern. Although the GFS isn't too bad, I prefer leaning on the European model guidance this morning. Here we are from last night. You can see our hurricane starting to become entrained in the 500 millibar pattern. As you can see, we have a nice ridge over the Pacific leading to a broad trough over much of the United States, basically from the Rockies all the way to the East Coast. And that, of course, led to rather cool conditions yesterday with temperatures struggling in the upper 50s to lower 60s. And with breezy conditions, it felt a bit cooler than that. By this evening, high pressure again will be shifting off of the East Coast and redeveloping towards the Canadian Maritimes. Here's our upper level low starting to develop, and it's developing because we're starting to block up the weather pattern over the Canadian Maritimes off to northeastern Canada. You can see all this lower pressure leading to a building of higher pressure over much of the eastern Great Lakes back towards the northern Atlantic, slowing this whole pattern down and allowing this upper level low to get its act together. So by basically Thursday, tomorrow, our upper level low will solidify itself over the Great Lakes, become dominant and powerful, and as you can see, we're going to start to see a moisture transport right off the Atlantic developing over the southern mid-Atlantic for tomorrow evening, and this moisture transport will shift to the northeast over the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area by Friday morning and continue on through Friday evening. You can also see a ridge developing over parts of New England and the Canadian Maritimes, supporting a blocking pattern along at the surface with high pressure and control. And notice the pressure gradient from the high pressure to the low pressure is oriented in such that the winds will be from the southeast and from the east, leading to warmer temperatures tomorrow ranging in the mid to upper 60s over the interior and upper 60s to lower 70s along the coast. Clouds will be on the increase, but at least temperatures will be rather nice and warm. Moving forward on to Friday, again, periods of heavy rain can be expected as our upper level low starts to solidify over the eastern and central Great Lakes. You can see we have plenty of lifting right along the coast. Our low pressure system at the surface will be anchored over the eastern Great Lakes with an occluded front back towards the mid-Atlantic coast, leading to moderate to heavy rain over the region. Again, the pressure gradient from the low to the high will lead to gusty winds from the east and southeast anywhere from 10 to 20 miles per hour, making for a rather raw day on Friday, with temperatures ranging in the upper 50s to lower 60s along the immediate coast. I think that the Moss guidance is a little bit too high, but I think as you get a little bit further away from the coast, temperatures are going to spike into the mid to upper 60s as we get a little bit less of an influence from the marine environment. So it should be a rather raw day on Friday. The good news, though, is that this upper level low lifts north, high pressure builds in, and Saturday and Sunday will feature clearing skies, comfortable temperatures pretty much near normal in the lower to mid 60s, and, well, the most important thing, dry conditions. And those dry conditions will continue on through early next week as a ridge builds over much of the eastern United States. Now, if you're interested in the weather pattern overall and what this means for the upcoming winter season, let me just calm your fears right now. The pattern is in a state of change, but a very interesting factor is starting to develop here in that we continue to see the support for a negative NAO pattern, which is basically a trough around the Canadian Maritimes and ridging building over northern Canada and Greenland. Meanwhile, because our pattern over the Pacific is still constantly changing and fluctuating, we see this deep trough over the west leading to a ridge in the east, but it's not able to build all the way up the east coast. And so that means basically our temperatures are going to remain near normal for the most part. We could actually end up with some above normal temperatures by the end of this upcoming week, but temperatures pushing or touching 70 degrees. So clearly we're going to have a nice little break in our weather pattern once we get through our rainstorm on Friday with comfortable weather conditions. That is your forecast discussion for today. Of course, I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. Thank you for trusting in NYNJPA Weather for your weather source. And of course, you can always follow the latest weather information at nynjpaweather.com and NYNJPA Weather on Twitter and Facebook. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe out there.